Commission clear him, claims the real damage is going to be felt by the children, by the charities he supports. Well, he doesn't support the charity more. Cameron Walker's with us. This is his very important charity. It was probably one of the most important things he did in the memory of his mother.
Yeah, a source close to him telling me he's devastated and that he sees it as basically kind of hijacking the good work that he's done. A hostile takeover is the quotes over his life's work. This is clearly a bitter battle. There's been mud thrown.
It's called Sentebale.
It's called Sentebale, co-founded by him in 2006 to help children in Lesotho and Botswana living with HIV and AIDS. It's been going for 19 years. But of course, this bitter row erupted earlier this year following some kind of internal power struggle going on. And because it spilled into the public domain, the Charity Commission, the UK charity watchdog, launched an investigation. Their findings were released this morning. I think the big headline really is that Prince Harry has been heavily criticised alongside the chairperson, Dr. Sophie Chanduka, and the other former trustees for allowing this whole row to spill into the public domain. They say it's not only damaged the integrity of the charity, but it's also damaged the integrity of the entire UK charity sector. Now, a source close to Harry saying, well, he wasn't one doing TV interviews, but I think we need to go back to the beginning here. It was initially reported in the Times that Prince Harry has stepped back as a patron of the charity due to this internal fallout with the charity's chair over the way the charity was going to be funded. Then Prince Harry released a statement via his spokesperson alongside Prince Siso of Lesotho, who is the other co-founder of the charity, basically pouring mud on the chairperson, and that is the point in which she felt she wanted to defend herself via an interview with Sky News and the Financial Times as well. And then there was a lot of briefings and counter-briefings, and then this row just turned into this mess. The Charity Commission also found that there's serious governance failures within the charity, confusion over whose powers are which. So I think it's basically a bit of a power struggle that's going on here. But what has kind of happened now is that a source close to Harry is alleging that Sophie Chanduka, the chair, wants to install herself as this executive chairman, which is a term used in the US quite a lot, which gives you a salary, gives you executive powers of the charity, but that's not in UK law. That's only in US law. But what I understand is that Dr. Sophie is not only the second biggest donor privately to the charity alongside her brother, but she also turns down a salary from Prince Harry, who initially offered it to her before the row, due to before all of this.
But Cameron, for Harry, this is what is left for him now. He'll just have his Invictus Games charity, which is brilliant work he does with servicemen and women who've been damaged, been war and conflict. This is about all he had left of his old life.
Indeed.
The Royal.
And he's been widely praised for his charity work. Of course, you say Invictus is one part of it. I'm told by his spokesperson he is going to be looking at other ways to support children in Southern Africa. We'll have to wait and see what he means by that.
Well, we must read a right of reply statement from the former trustees of Sentebale. We're disheartened by the way in which the Charity Commission has chosen to ignore key concerns and irrefutable evidence raised with them regarding the leadership and oversight of Sentebale's chair.
So he doesn't even accept the report of the Charity Commission?
No, he is criticised the charity.
It sounds just like office politics to me. No one would be interested if Prince Harry wasn't in.
No, but the whole point about the charity was it got its where it did the work it did because of the good name of Prince Harry, which is disappearing rapidly.
Be interesting to see what their financial report states at the end of the month.
Well, we've got to go
ahead. We're going to be looking at how the channel
Family, welcome back to the Royal Sussex Squad, the place where we break down the lies, pull apart the spin, and defend the Duke and Duchess of Sussex from the constant, coordinated smear campaigns. Today, we're going to get into something that, quite frankly, exposes just how deep the rot is in the so-called establishment. The way Prince Harry's relationship with Sentebale, the very charity he co-founded in 2006, has been twisted, politicised and weaponised against him in the press. The headlines have been shameless. Wrists slapped, wounded, disillusioned, all designed to make Harry look like some angry schoolboy who got told off as if he's been caught misbehaving and is sulking in the corner. This is how the British media infantilises Harry. It's how they strip away his decades of military service, his record of real humanitarian work, and try to reduce him to a caricature, emotional, impulsive, and somehow always in the wrong. But the truth is far more telling and far more damning of the establishment they keep defending. Let's set the record straight. The Charity Commission's investigation into Sentebale concluded that there was no evidence, none, of widespread bullying, harassment, misogyny or misconduct by Harry or any other trustee. That's right, all the ugly rumours and insinuations that the press tried to build into a scandal? Baseless! But you wouldn't know that from the way the story's being told, because they've chosen to bury that fact under loaded language and quotes from the same old royal commentators who never pass up a chance to take a swipe at the Sussexes. What the Commission actually found was confusion over governance, unclear powers for the chair, no proper complaint process, and no clear way to resolve disputes. These are boring administrative failings, the kind that can and should be fixed by the board. Yet, somehow, instead of addressing the structural issues Harry raised, the Commission essentially told everyone to shake hands and move on. The people in power kept their seats. The chair, Dr. Sophie Chandoka, stayed put, and the founder, the man who built Sentebale's global reputation and personally raised millions for its programs, walked away. Now, let's talk about why that matters. Harry didn't leave because his ego was bruised. He left because he could not, in good conscience, attach his name to an organisation that had been taken in a direction he fundamentally disagreed with, a direction that, in his view, put the mission at risk. In his own spokesperson's words, the Commission's report falls troublingly short in many regards, primarily the fact that the consequences of the current chair's actions will not be borne by her, but by the children who rely on Sentebale's support. That is the core of the story. This isn't about palace gossip or who's fuming behind closed doors. It's about the kids in Lesotho and Botswana who will suffer because those with the power to fix the problem decided instead to protect their own. Of course, you'd never know that if you only listened to people like Jenny Bond. She pops up to declare Harry wounded and clearly fuming, as if she's got a direct line into his emotions. This is the tactic. Make him sound like he's reacting out of temper instead of principle, so you can discredit his reasons for walking away. Then there's Richard Fitzwilliams showing up on GB News, the same network that's made a sport out of attacking Meghan, suddenly shedding crocodile tears over the poor children who might lose support now that Harry's gone. The hypocrisy is nauseating. If these people genuinely cared about those children, they would be asking why the Charity Commission ignored Harry's concerns and left the same leadership in place. And then we get that little phrase repeated over and over in the articles, "Neither side has come out of this well." That's another manipulation. It implies false equivalence. It makes it sound like Harry and the chair are equally to blame. They are not. There's one side that fought for accountability and walked away when the system refused to change, and there's another side that clung to their titles, their influence, and their positions despite the breakdown in trust. So when the press says Harry is even more disillusioned by the establishment, I say, good, be disillusioned. The establishment has never been on his side. From the day he married Meghan, it's been clear that the institution saw him as a threat, not an asset. They didn't like his independence, his refusal to play the press game, his willingness to speak openly about mental health, racism and corruption. And in this Sentebale case, we see the same pattern we've seen before. An official body chooses to protect the wrong people, a compliant media reframes the outcome to damage Harry, and the palace-aligned commentators rush in to do clean-up for the establishment. Think about it. This is the man who co-founded Sentebale after his first trip to Lesotho in 2004, who built a bridge between Lesotho's HIV-affected children and the global stage, who used his position to bring in donors, celebrities and governments to support the mission. And now they want to rewrite that legacy into a petty feud? That's how desperate they are to chip away at his credibility. And yes, I think this is also about punishing Harry for having an independent legacy outside of palace control. Sentebale was his thing, not theirs. It was proof that a royal could make global impact without the palace's stamp of approval. If they can tarnish that, they can send a message. See, you can't succeed without us. But here's the part they don't want you to hear. Harry doesn't need them. He's already looking for other ways to support the children of Lesotho and Botswana. He doesn't need taxpayer-funded PR to make that happen. He's got the platform, the network and the global goodwill that the monarchy can only dream of. And that's what terrifies them, because every time they try to smear him, they end up revealing their own corruption. Every time they twist a story, people outside the UK see through it faster. They don't realise they're making him more relatable, more credible, more free. So no, Harry walking away from Sentebale is not a wrist-slapped humiliation. It's a refusal to rubber-stamp a takeover that he believes undermines the mission. It's a statement that his values aren't for sale, not even to protect his own legacy. And in a world where the establishment bends every rule to protect its friends, that's the kind of integrity that makes him dangerous to them. Family, that's why we're here. To keep telling the truth they won't print, to stand with people who put the work before the optics, to remind the world that Harry and Meghan are still out here doing the work, even as the system throws every obstacle in their way. Prince Harry, even more disillusioned by the establishment after wrists slapped over latest row the Duke of Sussex, resigned as patron of his beloved Sentebale charity earlier this year. Prince Harry has been left even more disillusioned by the establishment following the recent dramatic collapse of his relationship with Sentebale, the charity he helped establish in 2006, a royal commentator has suggested. The Duke of Sussex has been said to be wounded after the Charity Commission's report into allegations of bullying and other abuses at the African-based organisation. Earlier this week, the Charity Commission concluded its compliance case into Sentebale, which found there had been confusion over roles, especially around powers delegated to the chair, and insufficient internal complaints policies with no clear processes to resolve disputes. The Commission did not find evidence of widespread bullying, harassment, misogyny or misconduct by Prince Harry or by any other trustees, but did acknowledge that several people involved felt they had been mistreated and that those feelings should not be dismissed. Nevertheless, the Duke has now completely cut ties with Sentebale and is said to be furious with the apparent hostile takeover of his life's work. Neither side has come out of this well, and both have had their wrists well and truly slapped by the Commission, veteran royal commentator Jenny Bond said. She believed that the Prince will feel very wounded by the way things have turned out. Harry is clearly fuming and believes the Commission has not addressed some central issues, the commentator observed. The Duke of Sussex is said to be wounded over the collapse of his relationship with Sentebale. I think Harry believed the Charity Commission would come down firmly on his side and oust the chair, Dr. Sophie Chandauka, from her position, allowing him to return as patron. Now, however, he sees the report as enabling what he calls a hostile takeover, Bond explained to the Mirror. To that end, the former BBC royal correspondent believed that the row has left Harry further disenchanted by all officialdom. I think the Prince is now even more disillusioned by the establishment, and that includes most official channels, she believed. A furious Harry is now believed to have further lost faith in officialdom. After the Charity Commission's report into Sentebale, a spokesperson for Prince Harry said, "The Charity Commission's report falls troublingly short in many regards, primarily the fact that the consequences of the current chair's actions will not be borne by her, but by the children who rely on Sentebale's support. The Duke of Sussex will now focus on finding new ways to continue supporting the children of Lesotho and Botswana," the statement concluded. Bond believed that Harry would remain determined to find another way to continue his work for the region. However, she warned that it would be rather unwise to set up a rival charity. He, Duke, was warned about starting a rival charity in response to the falling out. Speaking to GB News earlier, fellow royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams feared the poor children cared for by Sentebale would ultimately suffer as a result of the rift. What we're going to see undoubtedly is a huge drop in funding, because one thing Harry did do for all his faults is he put a lot of money into Sentebale, the expert said. Fitzwilliams also wondered how the charity would be able to drum up anywhere near the publicity they previously enjoyed with the Duke in tow. While the report has concluded, it has been suggested that Sentebale may pursue further action against the Prince. If you're part of the squad, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you never miss when we drop the real story. And if you want to help keep this platform alive and independent, hit that super thanks button and drop your love in the comments. We are the counter-narrative. We are the record keepers. And as long as they keep trying to smear the Sussexes, we will keep pushing back. Louder, stronger and sharper every time, because the battle for truth isn't over, and neither are we.